Imagine you are scrolling through your phone and an ad pops up for something you were just talking about with a friend. That feeling, that little chill of coincidence, or maybe suspicion. You probably recognize that stubborn feeling of being right. The immediate thought that your phone must be listening to you. It feels so obvious, so undeniable. We've all been there. But what if that instinct, that gut feeling, is actually a distraction from a much bigger and more profound truth about how our world works now? This is where the work of security expert Bruce Schneier becomes so important. He offers us a simpler, and in many ways, more powerful, way to understand what is happening. His core idea is this: we are no longer the customers of many tech giants. We are the raw material. Our everyday lives, our likes, our searches, our locations, our relationships, all of this data is what they are truly harvesting and refining. The product isn't the app you are using for free. The product is you, or more precisely, a prediction of your future behavior, which is then sold to the actual customers, advertisers, insurance companies, political campaigns, and others. As Schneier himself puts it, surveillance is the business model of the internet. It is that straightforward. We are living inside a machine designed to watch us, because watching us is incredibly profitable. This creates a natural tension in all of us. On one hand, we have that quick, instinctive thinking. It's fast, it's emotional, and it wants a simple villain, like a microphone in our phone. It's the same part of our brain that jumps to conclusions or gets stuck on an idea. Many of us cling to familiar ideas because they feel safe and manageable, even if they are not the whole story. It is far easier to blame a creepy microphone than to grapple with a vast, invisible economic system built on data flows we can barely comprehend. But on the other hand, we have a deeper awareness. It is that quieter, more thoughtful voice that knows there is probably more to it. Remember, when you were a kid, and you realized a belief you held, maybe about Santa Claus, or how the world worked, wasn't quite true. There is a moment of discomfort, but then a new, more mature understanding clicks into place. That is the shift Schneier invites us to make. It is not about microphones. It is about the sheer volume of information we give away without a second thought. Every search, every click, every like, every time we allow an app to know where we are, it all gets fed into the machine. They do not need to listen because we are constantly telling them everything. We all sometimes fool ourselves into accepting convenient explanations. We want to believe we have control, that we are savvy users who understand the trade-off. We tell ourselves, I have nothing to hide, or the personalized ads are kinda useful. This is us using our fast thinking to avoid the uncomfortable truth our slow thinking is whispering. Schneier's principles show us that this system is not designed for our benefit. It is designed to exploit our psychological patterns, to keep us engaged so we generate more data, and to gently guide our choices in ways that serve their paying customers. The free email, the convenient map, the fun social network. These are just the shiny traps. The real business is happening in the background, in the silent auctioning of our attention and potential behaviors. This is not about shame. It is about awareness. It is about recognizing that our instincts, while powerful, can be misdirected. That feeling of being sure your phone is listening is a symptom, not the disease. The disease is the entire surveillance economy that has built an empire out of our digital lives. It feels personal because it is. It is made from the intimate details of our lives. But its scale is imperial. Understanding this distinction is the first step toward reclaiming some power. It moves us from a place of paranoid suspicion to a place of clear-eyed understanding. We stop worrying about the microphone and start asking bigger questions about consent, power, and the future we are building with every click. This cracks open a world we thought we understood. revealing the intricate machinery humming just beneath the surface of our daily clicks and scrolls. We start noticing the sheer volume of it all. The way a suggested ad for that exact brand of hiking boots we were just talking about feels less like a coincidence and more like a quiet confirmation. We begin our journey here, in this phase of simple recognition, where the digital world starts to feel less like a passive tool and more like an active participant in our lives. It's a straightforward observation, a dawning awareness that our actions online are being watched, collected, and remembered. We see the simple trade we've been making all along, our personal information in exchange for convenience and connection, and for a moment, it all seems almost logical, a straightforward transaction in a new kind of marketplace. But this simple clarity doesn't last. This is where we enter the confusing middle, a phase that feels murky and overwhelmingly complex. The initial unease blossoms into full-blown confusion. We might feel a sense of powerlessness, unsure of what data is being collected, who exactly has it, or what they are truly doing with it. The sheer scale is baffling. It's no longer just about one company knowing we like hiking boots. It's about a vast, interconnected ecosystem of data brokers, advertisers, and platforms piecing together a portrait of our lives so detailed it can predict our moods, our needs, and our future behaviors. Most of us feel uneasy during transitions, and this is the ultimate transition from being a mere user to being a product, a data point in a massive economic engine. This is the tough part that Bruce Schneier so aptly describes, where the systems of power and control are so complex and opaque that they defy our understanding and therefore our ability to effectively push back. The problem feels too big, too abstract, and too deeply embedded in the fabric of modern life to confront. You might be someone who resists change at first, and this middle phase can make you want to just shut it all off and retreat, a completely understandable knee-jerk reaction to such an invasive and bewildering reality. This instinct to disengage entirely is a natural response, but it stands in stark contrast to the more thoughtful, powerful response that Schneier advocates for. The knee-jerk reaction is to see ourselves as isolated individuals fighting a giant, to either submit completely or run away. The thoughtful response, however, is to recognize that this is not an individual problem, but a collective one. It requires us to move from a mindset of personal defense to one of societal and political action, to demand transparency, regulation, and new rules of the road for this new economy. This shift in perspective is what leads us out of the confusing middle and into a new clarity. This new clarity isn't about having all the answers or knowing how to perfectly protect every shred of our privacy. It's about understanding the game that is being played. It's the realization that our value is in our data, and that collective action, not just individual opt-outs, is the path to a fairer balance of power. You may catch yourself pausing before reacting lately, thinking twice before clicking agree on a terms of service, not out of fear, but out of a newfound awareness. This clarity allows us to navigate the digital world with our eyes open, making more conscious choices about what we share and who we trust, while also lending our voices to call for systemic change. We start to see that the goal isn't to disappear, but to reshape the ecosystem into something that serves humanity first, not just shareholder value. It's a clarity that acknowledges the complexity, but refuses to be paralyzed by it, choosing instead to focus on the tangible steps, both personal and political, that can slowly but surely build a better digital future for everyone. Through this discomfort, we begin to notice something else, a subtle shift in our internal weather. The initial resistance, that powerful urge to retreat back into the familiar confines of our old thinking, starts to lose its grip. It's like walking into a cold ocean. The first shock is breathtaking, even painful. But as you keep moving forward, your body acclimates, and you start to feel the invigorating rush of the water, the strength of the waves. That mental shiver begins to subside, replaced by a dawning curiosity. We start to ask better questions, not just of the world, but of ourselves. Why did I believe that to be true for so long? What was I protecting by holding on to that idea? This isn't about self-recrimination. It's about gentle, honest inquiry. It's the process of untangling a knot we didn't even realize we were tied up in. This is where the real magic starts to happen. In the quiet moments after the storm of cognitive dissonance has passed, we begin to see the world through a slightly cleaner lens. Old patterns of thought, ones that once felt as automatic as breathing, now reveal themselves as choices. And with that awareness comes a new kind of agency. You'll likely find daily decisions coming easier, not because the decisions themselves are less complex, but because the internal noise that used to accompany them, the second-guessing, the fear of judgment, the need to conform to an invisible standard, has quieted down. It's the difference between trying to navigate a crowded, noisy room and stepping into a quiet library. The path forward is suddenly so much clearer. This newfound clarity often extends to our interactions with others. Many notice old frustrations don't bother them as much. The colleague who always seems to push your buttons, the family member whose opinions felt like personal attacks. These dynamics can begin to lose their charge. It's not that the people have changed, but our perception of the interaction has. We start to see their behavior less as a targeted assault, and more as the output of their own internal programming, their own unchallenged beliefs and fears. This doesn't mean we become doormats. Rather, we engage from a place of greater understanding and less reactivity. We can choose our responses instead of being hijacked by our reactions. This is a profound upgrade to our emotional operating system. We also become more attuned to the subtle ways our minds seek comfort in stories, even when those stories aren't entirely true. This is the Barnum effect in action, that universal tendency to accept vague, personality general descriptions as highly accurate for ourselves. We love horoscopes, personality quizzes, and fortune cookies because they offer a neat, pre-packaged narrative. For a moment, they make the chaotic, unpredictable journey of life feel ordered and destined. But as we practice questioning our own assumptions, we start to see this tendency in ourselves. We recognize the seductive pull of the easy answer, the comfortable label. And in that recognition, we gain the power to gently decline the offer. We learn to hold those descriptions lightly, appreciating them for their entertainment value, but not building our identity upon them. This process is deeply personal, yet universally human. It's the work of a lifetime, but it starts with a single, conscious step away from automatic thinking. It's about building a relationship with your own mind, based on observation and curiosity, rather than blind obedience. We are so much more than the sum of our conditioned thoughts and beliefs. Together, we discover that beneath the layers of who we thought we were supposed to be, there is a more authentic, resilient, and creative self waiting to engage with the world on its own terms. This isn't about achieving some state of perpetual enlightenment. It's about enjoying the freedom of the journey itself, of being an active participant in your own life rather than a passive passenger. It's about reclaiming the narrative of your own existence, word by word, thought by thought. And as we do this, as we gently sift through the beliefs we've inherited and consciously choose which ones to keep and which to let go, we create more space. Space for joy, for connection, for genuine surprise. Life becomes less about defending a fixed position and more about exploring an endless landscape of possibilities. We become more comfortable with not knowing, with the beautiful, humbling truth that we are always learning, always growing. This openness is the antithesis of dogma. It is the heart of a flexible and vibrant mind. And what awaits us on the other side of this effort, after we've done the work of questioning and rebuilding, is a sensation so simple, yet so profound. It is the feeling of intellectual and emotional liberty that the security expert Bruce Schneier so perfectly captures when he describes true freedom not as a grand, abstract concept, but as a tangible, physical relief. A quiet and personal victory that feels like finally taking off shoes that never quite fit.